My mom said I am an a-hole for abandoning my stepson with his neglectful mother and going on a family vacation without him. Plus 2 updates. My husband, 39, and I have been married for 5 years. We have 2 children of our own, both girls, aged 5 and 2. I also have a son, 10, from a previous marriage, but I was widowed. My husband's ex is barely involved in stepson's life at all. They got divorced when stepson was 2, and his ex wanted a fresh start, so my husband did the decent selfless thing and had complete custody of their son, even though he'd wanted shared custody. I got a bonus at work and I really want to go on vacation with just my family just once. We've been on family vacations all together lots of times. But just once I want to spend my money going on vacation where I'm not looking after someone else's kid. I want stepson to stay with his mom while we go on vacation. My husband sees my point of view and is okay with it. I don't think I'm being at all unreasonable. My mom found out what I was planning and says I'm being a complete a-hole. These are the reasons she says I could be the a-hole. My mom says that if stepson's mom isn't properly involved in his life, I should be even more involved in his life to compensate. I think this is a completely unfair expectation. She also says that I'm being a hypocrite taking my son, but I think that's totally different because my son doesn't have another parent. I'm all he has got. If stepson's mom won't take him just for once, then obviously he'll come on vacation with us. But I don't think I'm the a-hole to ask if I can have a vacation with my own family just one time. It's not like I hate stepson or something, he's a nice kid, he's just not mine. Am I the a-hole? Update 1. We definitely won't be going on vacation without stepson. After a couple hours of replies, I decided to show this to my husband. We sat down and had a really long talk about it. He told me he has never been comfortable with my attitude towards stepson, but didn't know how to say to me before. I don't want to be a bad person, I just never thought of stepchildren being yours. I don't think it would be easy for anyone to accept this level of criticism, but all your replies have shown me I have a lot of work to do. As many of you suggested, and so did my husband, I intend to see a therapist to help me with that. As I said, I don't hate stepson in any way. I have never been deliberately cruel to him, I've just always thought of him as my husband's child. But I realize my mindset needs to change. So I'm going to start working on that. I want my family to be the best it can be, and I need to accept that it includes my stepson. I understand that now, and I'm going to start seeing a therapist to become a better person. We've also talked about maybe having family therapy too. I've also made up with my mom, and she is 100% behind the changes I want to make in my life. It wasn't easy to hear everything you said, but I understand that I needed to hear it. Update 2. A year ago, I wrote a post about taking a family vacation without my son. When I made my original post, I was told by literally thousands of people that I was the a-hole, and it helped me see how wrong I was and had been for the last 5 years. I booked a therapy appointment the following week and started working through my issues. My own father passed when I was less than a year old. I don't even remember him. My mother married another man when I was 7, but he left when I was 11 and I never saw him again. It hurt me in a way I'd never processed before. I loved him, he'd been my dad, and suddenly he was just gone. That taught me that step-relatives weren't part of your family. They weren't forever. I always thought I was doing better than my ex-stepdad. Because I provided for my son and I stayed in his life, I was better than my ex-stepdad. But I made my son feel the way my ex-stepdad made me feel when he left me, and I regret it so much. A little while after I started therapy, we started family therapy too. The therapist helped me explain to my son the way I felt about step-relatives and why I'd always behaved the way I did. He cried and said he was afraid that I just didn't like him, and we had the first proper talk we'd ever had. I told him that wasn't true, and I had just been a bad step-parent like my ex-stepdad had been to me. My relationship with my son is so much better now. We spend time together, just the two of us, and I never call him, or think of him as my stepson. He's my son. I accept now that he'll always be my son, that unlike my ex-stepdad, he's forever. Even if something happens between me and his dad, he'll still be my son. Most of all, he always called me by my first name, but last Thanksgiving, he asked to start calling me Mom. It made me so happy. I told him that I loved him and he said he loved me too. Since then, he always just calls me Mom. A lot of people also talked about the ways my husband needed to improve, to be more assertive and protective of his children. He knows that. It's very easy to see the problems when they're presented to you all at once in a post, but when things happen day to day, it's a lot harder to realize how issues are building up. But he's working hard, like we both are, to try to make our family the happiest it can be. We both know we still have to keep working at this. I'm still in therapy and we're still having family therapy. But I'm grateful to work at it. I'm grateful to have all my children. It's very hard for me to write this, to think about the way things were before I started therapy. It makes me cry every time I think about it. But I want to thank you, Internet. I wrote my original post just looking for validation for my own point of view, and I never thought the Internet could change my life this way. But it has. I feel like for the first time, we're truly a family. Thank you all. My husband was talking about another woman in his sleep. I tried to joke about it, but he blew up at me. Should I be concerned? Plus update. My husband and I are both in our 30s, married for about 10 years, with kids. When my husband is very tired, he talks in his sleep, not a lot, but a few words. Usually it's about whatever is on his mind. When our boys were young, it was usually about feeding them or giving them a bath. Now it happens less than it did back then, but it still happens about once a week. Usually he says something about work or fishing or his car. Last night he said another woman's name in his sleep, actually a few times. First he just said her name and kind of laughed in his sleep. Then he said, her name, let's go to bed, and then a few minutes later something about a shower. This is a woman that lives near us. He knows her but I don't. I work afternoons, my husband gets out of work around 4 and so does she, so they're both outside with the kids around the same time. I've never seen them be anything but friendly. I've never seen odd behavior from him. But this has me very paranoid. I don't want to be one of those people who gets mad at their partner for something that happened in their sleep. Am I being ridiculous for bringing this up to him? Update 1. Thank you everyone. I brought it up to my husband in a joking manner. He immediately got defensive, and began saying he couldn't effing believe I was making an issue out of this. I was pretty taken aback by his immediate defensive reaction. I assured him I wasn't accusing him of anything. I had just wanted to bring it up since it happened and make a joke out of it so he knew I wasn't actually upset. He continued to call me ridiculous, dramatic, etc., and if he expected me to stop hanging out with her because of this I was out of my goddamn mind. Then he left. Update 2. After my husband's very defensive response after I brought it up in a really lighthearted way, I began to get a little concerned, especially how he said, if you expect me to stop hanging out with her over this you're out of your goddamn mind. Of course I never would have asked him to stop talking to her over a dream, but his response really was over the top. So yesterday I took a half day and got home from work at 4:15, the time they're usually hanging out. My kids and my husband were not at home, despite my husband telling me he had gotten them off the bus and his Life 360 saying he was home, plus his car being in the garage. I called his phone and it went off in the bedroom, but he wasn't there. So I walked by the woman's house. She has a pool in her backyard and from the street I could hear the two of them, clearly, in the backyard in the pool, talking and laughing. I literally didn't even go on to her yard. I just yelled out my husband's name and said, "Where are the kids?" He was silent for so long. He started to say something but I cut him off. I think I just told him to shut the F up and told him just tell me where my kids were. He said they were over his mother's. I told him he had until I went to get them and get back to get his stuff out of the house. He tried to keep talking. At this point he had come out to the street, but I honestly didn't want to hear anything he had to say. I told him I wasn't messing around. If he was still there when I came home I was going to lose it. He got the point. He was gone, but I did let him tell me his side of the story on the phone later that night. He said they were just friends, that he didn't tell me how close they were because he thought I would get upset. This is a lie. I don't care if he has female friends or not as long as he's respectful of boundaries, which he wasn't. I don't believe anything he said. He lied about where our kids were to innocently hang out with a friend. Obviously this is all new, but I have no intentions of reconciling with him. I'll be a co-parent and nothing else. It feels surreal to me how all of this started. I still can't really believe it's happening.
I found out my girlfriend likes to harass people online. What should I do? Plus update. I came home from work today and noticed my partner just sitting at the desk laughing to herself with her headphones on. So I assumed she was watching a movie or something and left it at that. Not long after I poked my head round as I was going to ask her what she wanted for dinner and to my surprise she was on Reddit, which was odd to me because she is anti-social media. but I thought it was nice she was trying something as she suffers from agoraphobia and doesn't get out much without me. I briefly got a glimpse at her name and thought it would be interesting to see what she had posted. Yes, I know this was an invasion of privacy, but to my shock, the account was 8 years old. This means it's predated our relationship by a couple of years. What's even more shocking was the stuff she had said on there. So much hate towards random people, for seemingly no reason at all. This was not just one comment here and there either, literally just an account dedicated to hating on people, and she seemed proud of it in her comments. One recent example was she spent an entire day just hassling someone. It doesn't even stop there because she will make up stories, fat shame people, bullying those with disabilities, and claims everyone who tell her she needs therapy is projecting. I would sometimes come back from work and she would be in a bad mood, but wouldn't tell me why. Upon looking at her comment history, a lot of her bad moods seemed to line up with days she got downvoted a lot. She even goes as far as to lie about her physical appearance just to bring down others. It's sick. How do I even approach this? This stuff is just downright hateful and I don't want her to freak out at me. What do I even do? I'm scared she is one argument away from someone coming to find her. Update. I had a lot of message requests asking if the post was about them. If you thought that, then I think it's time to stop your crappy behavior. I want to address some comments from the last post. I'm pretty sure she is blocked from this site as all of her comments on this sub were removed according to a Remove Reddit site, and I also blocked her account while slightly adjusting the ages. After sitting for a good hour last night looking down her profile in depth and bookmarking her worst stuff, I decided to bring it up with her. I was going to ask a mutual friend to be around, but I didn't want to embarrass her, so instead, I put my phone on record in my pocket, in case she was going to claim I did anything against her. I waited until after lunch and asked her if she could just stay there for a minute, set my phone to record and then brought up screenshots on a tablet. Her face dropped. She walked out of the room after a few seconds of scrolling. I was going to go after her, but I left it. She came down and just said sorry. I asked why she was saying sorry to me, to which she responded, I don't know. I asked why she did it and I just got another I don't know. I showed her one of the screenshots where she claims my friends love how much of AC I am online, and I asked if any of her friends knew, and she said no, just me. Daily routine I guess. After some more talking, I addressed how much she hurt me with her attacks on people with mental health problems, to which she just said, I doubt they even had any issues, they were just playing victim because they were losing the argument. I have packed my things and going to stay at a friend's house. I'm going to block Reddit on the ISP and asked her to not contact me for a couple of days while I think. I have also asked her to find a place to stay as I can't stay at my mate's for too long and I want to go on a break. If I'm honest, I don't know if I will ever want to see her again. I was going to ask her to apologize to everyone she caused shit for, but at this point, I know she won't mean it.